Okay, welcome back to InsideFlix. This is our weekly box office report. This past weekend, sadly, was an all-time low for the year. Disappointing box office numbers for the whole top 10. Unfortunately, it was not surprising, as all signs kind of indicated that this past weekend, and I guess the next couple of weeks at the box office is going to be extremely slow. But Rich, tell us which films made the top 5 at this past weekend at the box office.
The number one film in America is Sony Pictures' new horror film, The Invitation, which made around $7 million. Number 2 film in America is Brad Pitt's Bullet Train with $5.6 million. Number 3 is Idris Elba's Beast with $4.9 million. Number 4 is Tom Cruise's Top Gun Maverick with $4.7 million. And round out the top 5 is Dragon Ball Superhero with $4.5 million.
Yeah, so The Invitation, which is a movie that I really never heard of until a couple weeks ago. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it was number 1. It's not that big of a number. It's, it is a horror thriller, so that kind of plays into that kind of type of audiences. It's a really disappointing weekend. The numbers aren't that great. We knew that this was going to be slow, but we didn't know that it was going to be this bad. What's your feelings on just the box office? Okay, what's your feelings on the box office then, Raymond?
The box office, honestly, this weekend is pretty much exactly what I was expecting it to be. I mean, the only thing that surprises me in this top 10 is that Top Gun Maverick had a pretty strong hold, even though the movie kind of already got released on digital during the past week. So I thought, the movie being released on digital would have caused the movie to have like a 60-70% drop, finally, Mm-hmm. But no, it only had a 20% drop, and what was number 1 last week, Dragon Ball, is now behind Top Gun Maverick, and that's crazy to me. That's the one thing I did not see coming. But The Invitation, I mean, it made about what I was expecting. I thought it was going to make $8 million, but it's still in that kind of that ballpark, and unfortunately, I was kind of thinking 3,000 Years of Longing was only going to make $3 million, and that movie came in at number 7 with about $3 million.
Yeah,
and this box office it's sad and pathetic, but I'm not surprised by any of it.
Well, you mentioned 3,000 Years of Longing, which is the latest film from George Miller, the creator of Mad Max franchise. Well, this did very poorly. It underperformed, but let's get into it. Rich, let's read off the rest of the top 10.
Coming in number 6 is DC League of Super Pets. Number 7, like we said, 3,000 Years of Longing. Number 8 is Minions: The Rise of Gru. Number 9 is Thor: Love and Thunder. And the number 10 film is Where the Crawdads Sing.
Again, this is very disappointing to see a George Miller film perform this low. I don't know. What does that say about George Miller?
Well, I don't know. George Miller is one of these filmmakers. You can't necessarily expect, something specific from him each time. I mean, every one of his films is like completely different than the next. Not all of his movies are going to make, $100 million.
I think the marketing on that was, although they did, I think they did promote the film quite well for MGM United Artists, but it's just another a bad effect from Idris Elba, who just had another bomb that's consecutive, basically.
Yeah, I mean, you got two underperforming films that starred Idris Elba. This one and Beast, which I thought was going to do a little bit better than the numbers that it's gotten. Is his James Bond's aspirations, is that out the window by now?
Oh yeah. Yeah, no. I mean, no.
I mean, Idris Elba was never kind of a major box office draw, but there's always been critic love for his movies, but that's not the case in these last 2 films from him.
Well, I mean, for me, he's a great actor, but I mean, I always feel like he always works really well in like kind of supporting. Like when we see him in franchise movies, I think he works well, kind of like playing like a bad guy or a villain. I don't know. He hasn't, I guess, done the best transition from like his kind of like TV days and stuff to being a movie star. But he's a great actor. He still has that star presence. I mean, he just hasn't been really in the right films quite just yet.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's a tremendous actor. And I think eventually he's going to find a movie that will skyrocket him into another level. But let's talk about something that was very surprising. Rogue One came out in IMAX theaters, re-release, and it did pretty well for, at least compared to other re-releases like the E.T. IMAX re-release. Rich, what was the numbers that it brought in?
Rogue One came in with 1.1 million and it made a 13th spot. But when ET came out, I mean, it made less, but it came in at number 12. So it's really about the same, I think.
But the difference is ET played in like I think 100 or like 200 more screens, so this ended up having a much more impressive theater average.
Now, does that say anything about the new TV series Andor?
Maybe. Well, I've noticed over the years from a lot of the kind of Star Wars community online that Rogue One has, for a lot of people, kind of become like the best Star Wars movie. Like some people in the online communities rank it in front of Empire Strikes Back, which I find very interesting. But so, I mean, there's a lot of love for that movie that's been built up over the past decade. So I'm not surprised by it.
But clearly the biggest loser of the week is the new film from Bleecker Street, Breaking.
Yeah.
That came in number 15 with just over 1 million. And it didn't do very well at all per screen average. And that's one movie that I thought, I mean, if they would have marketed it right, would have done much better. But no, it didn't drive any eyes at all.
Well, it's funny because John Boyega was in the news recently, but I when you read the news, it didn't really talk about that he had a new movie coming out.
No,
it was really talking about Star Wars and his relationship with Disney and that stuff. Okay, let's look ahead for next week. Rich, what big movies are coming out?
The only new film opening up this week is probably from Focus Features, and it's called Honk for Jesus, Save Your Soul, and which will also be able to stream through Peacock. And the other two re-releases is Spider-Man No Way Home, the more fun stuff version, and Jaws, Steven Spielberg's all-time classic.
Yeah, I would say Spider-Man No Way Home, this new re-release will be number one. I think it's going to be another slow weekend. I'm assuming Spider-Man No Way Home is going to be number one again. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I think you're right. It's probably going to be Spider-Man No Way Home, the extended cut of the film. And I think a lot of people that go see it in theaters aren't even going to know that's an extended version of the movie. They're just going to be like, "Oh, Spider-Man's in theaters again. We might as well see that because nothing else looks interesting." It's not going to be a huge number one, though. I think it's going to probably come in, on probably like under 10 million, which is good for a re-release. But yeah, I mean, what do you guys think?
I think it's going to be a little bit under 10 million, maybe another 7 or 5 million. But let me ask you this new kind of announcement. They're going to have a National Cinema Day. It's a one-day event that on Saturday, I believe, where all movie tickets are going to be $3. You think that's going to bring in more people in this weekend?
I think they're going to eventually make it every Wednesday if it's a success.
But it's going to be on Saturday, though.
Yeah, I know. But I'm saying if it's a success, I think it's going to be every Wednesday.
Maybe it would make sense because they already have Discount Tuesday, which is like you. Maybe it would make sense to just change Discount Tuesday to $3.
Yeah. I mean, it all depends on how successful it is. I don't know if it's going to bring more people in necessarily.
I think here's the problem with the thing. It hasn't been very well advertised.
Well, they just announced it, or at least I only heard it about today.
Let me tell you this, because as I got the email up from the closest theater by where I live, the two closest theaters by where I live are Cinemark theaters. So I got an email from Cinemark this morning when I woke up, and it said, it was announcing this kind of $3 cinema day or whatever. And when I got, I saw the email, I went on the Cinemark app, and I was like, okay, let me buy a ticket for Saturday. And I was looking at the movies playing on Saturday, and I ended up buying a ticket for 3,000 Years of Longing. And when I went to click the show times, the theater was actually packed.
Oh, okay.
And I started to click on other theaters, or other showtimes for other movies like Spider-Man and other things, and they weren't like super packed, but they were more packed than they probably were for this past weekend. So the $3 cinema day might be bringing in more moviegoers on Saturday.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. I think they need something. They need something to entice people to come back to the movie theaters and watch anything they want. But so it's a good idea. All right, that was our thoughts on the box office. We'll be back next week with the results and more movies to talk about. All right, thank you for watching Inside Flix.